I don't know if this is working. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. This is my first time going live. So I have no idea if it's actually working or not. Hopefully, you are in the crypto space watching this. Again, no idea if it's working because I have never used YouTube Live before, but I felt compelled because of the craziness that's happening as we speak to talk about what's happening. I'm pretty sure this is working for all I know. So let's pretend it is. If not, then that's just life. But let's talk about what's going on here. If you take a look at the reality of what's going on, this is the biggest crypto liquidation in the past 24 hours, a single day event of all times. Bigger than Luna, bigger than COVID, bigger than FTX. This is history. Unfortunately, not a history I would really like to experience. But I think what's happening is they are flushing the leverage longs, right? No question. This is a manipulated event. However, most manipulated events generally work off of news. It's much easier to manipulate the public when you have what's perceived as bad news or detrimental news. And I think that's what's happening right now. Because what you're seeing is Trump has announced, some terrible news. They're fighting with China. It's not good, right? Nobody's happy. So that's going to be a major issue, right? That's going to be a real, real big problem. And there's nothing we can do about it. So if we're taking a look at what's happening, Ash Crypto, somebody that I follow, like anybody else, he's good and he's bad, right? But we're looking at this here and we're trying to figure out what's going on. Let's make sure this is actually, you can hear it. All right, cool. You can. And if we look about what's going on here, his prediction, and this was like he's Nostradamus or something, right? This is October 1st, 9 days ago. I think we're seeing a pump to make everyone believe Pumptober is real. Soon we'll get a nasty drop where Bitcoin dumps closer to the 106 levels or near 3,800 or lower. Everyone will think October is canceled. Then they believe what will happen next is they will basically liquidate all the bulls and retail. People will think it's canceled, and then we'll start the parabolic move. Now, I hope he's right. And if we look at some data, look at this candle. This is just an unnatural, ridiculous candle. There is no reason to believe that this should have happened. We've already had this tariff news, right? We've had this before. We've had tariff news, and no one really cares. But if we're looking at this candle, it just looks like massive manipulation. Something the likes of which I have rarely ever seen. The last time I saw something like this was right around April 9th. If you remember April 9th, when the tariffs first were announced, I was literally trying to sell my kidneys to buy more Bitcoin. I was searching under the couch trying to say, is there a way I can possibly buy more? I was going to my wife. I'm like, do you have any money? I know you're not working anymore, but do you have money? Because we should probably use everything in our arsenal to buy. And the buys I made on April 9th were so profitable in the long term. Obviously, now they're not as profitable as they were, but they're still up. And looking at some of the news, billion-dollar coins minus 80% in a single candle. I have never seen that before. I have never experienced that. I've been in crypto 9 years. 80% of majors in a single candle is unheard of. It is manipulation to the nth degree. Again, this Ash Crypto guy, power to you, because your at least initial prediction was spot on accurate, right? You said we were going to go down to the 106 level. I don't know if we tapped that, but I think it was damn near close. And if you look at what's happening next, here's another example of some absurd manipulation. If you look at the manipulation happening here, there is 0% chance that this guy or person or group of people didn't have the information at their disposal to know that Trump was going to make this announcement. How do you put in a $330 million short, which was a leverage position, without knowing you are going to be right? Now, sure, it could be some really rich degenerate that was just betting on the market going down because things were frothy and they wanted to potentially move the price down. But this screams insider trading to me, and it would be hard for me to imagine that it wasn't. Of course, there will never be any proof whether it was or not. But that's not a good look. Look at virtuals. Look at what happened here on virtuals chart. This is considered nearly a blue chip, especially in the AI agent space, right? Virtuals touched 44 cents. It was like a buck this morning. I was taking a leverage long position at like 95 cents, thinking I was about to have a massive, massive win. And instead, it's down here at 44 cents. Now, at the time of this recording, I think it's rebounded significantly. If you want to take a look at what we saw here on some of the majors that I'm tracking, or just some coins that I like, some are majors, some are on the smaller side, we're back to 68 cents, still minus 35% on the day. But look at this candle. I mean, what the hell are we looking at? Yeah, wicked all the way down. You can't even see the wick. The wick is so low that it actually interferes with the volume candle here. You don't usually see that pretty often. But yeah, this went down to in the 40s. And we've rebounded all the way to 72, back here to leveling off. I would happily take a leverage position here, but none of the wallets appear to be working. DBank is down. I think all the RPC nodes are down, so nothing's working. So it's hard to even buy anything. I'm ready to leverage all the Bitcoin I own to be able to buy more here across the board on alts, but it's just barely possible. Like, I'm doing transactions, they're not even working. They're taking forever. So I think there's just so much volume in the ecosystem that there's not much that can be done. Now, if we want to look a little bit deeper at what probably happened here, again, if we're looking at some liquidations, if they didn't grab every bit of long liquidation here, I don't know what will. Now, we've basically reset the entire market at this point. Now, are we going to go lower? I think it's totally possible. I don't like going into the weekend with a situation like this because Trump announced this after hours, of course, right? After hours is the name of the game here, because when you announce something after hours, the only thing that can get wrecked is crypto, right? Nothing else can be wrecked because all the other markets are closed. So crypto's like the canary in the coal mine. It just takes it on the face. Now, I'm looking at numbers here that I don't know if they wicked down this low. Nothing is this low as I'm talking right now. But if I don't imagine Sui could have got to 110. Like, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it actually got that low. And if it did, and you were somehow able to buy at that level, I mean, you're a hero. I wasn't in front of the computer. And again, I can't like leverage. I can't use anything. Nothing's working. Everything's super slow. So I don't even know how people were buying at that level. Yeah, but I think this crazy wick, again, it's interfering with the volume candle. It did. It got to like $1.50, at least on this candle. We'd have to see even lower than that. If we look on the 5-minute, I think we'll probably see that candle they're talking about. Does that really have Sui at 77 cents? I mean, I would have given anything to get Sui at 77 cents. I would have put 50 grand in, 100 grand in if I could actually do anything here. That would have been fantastic and a fantastic buy if you could have done that. Look at this V-shaped recovery. Now, we're nowhere near where it was, but this doesn't look natural. This looks like a crazy leverage flush. Most of the exchanges are reporting degraded performance, so nothing is actually working across the crypto ecosystem. If you're out there and you're able to do things, please let me know in the chat if you're seeing something actually work, because I'm seeing like nothing working. I'm trying to do anything I possibly can, and I just don't see the ability to do anything, right? I see someone talking next stop, Bitcoin's 84K. I sure hope not. But if Bitcoin somehow gets below 100,000, I will be taking massive positions in Bitcoin at that point. I mean, I will be throwing serious money, 6-figure clips into that at that point, because there's just no reason not to, in my opinion. Bitcoin, I'm in for the long run. I will hold Bitcoin forever, right? I'm not going to sell it. The only thing I'll do is borrow against it to buy these alts. Now, the only reason I even buy alts, like many of you, probably is because you think you're going to outpace Bitcoin at specific times. So let's do this. Let's go through some tokens on the larger side and smaller side that I think are good. This is not financial advice, right? This is just my opinion. It's educational purposes only. But I really like Arrow. They have implemented their DEX into Coinbase. If you go into Coinbase in the app or even on the standard website and you look at it, you will see that there is the ability to purchase almost any token or any token that's on the Arrow DEX. So you actually have that ability. And if that's not a bullish sign for Arrow, I don't know what is. Like, a partnership with Coinbase, sort of the gold standard, at least in the US. So Arrow coming down to 59 cents. Man, I wish I could have got more there. Bounced to 83. The only thing I don't like about that is that there was this buying pressure here, and now we're leveling off. Now we're still well below the $1.08 it was earlier today. So there's still probably room, but I don't really like this, because if you look at, this is the RSI, right? The relative strength indicator. We can see on the 5-minute, which isn't really a good representation here. Let's go a little bit, 15. I mean, we hit a number that I don't even think is possible. I've never seen 2 on the RSI. Has anyone ever seen 2 on the RSI? I don't think that's even a real number on an RSI chart on any time horizon. Has that ever even been done? So, of course, if you get down to 9 on the 1 hour RSI. I mean, it's not going to get much better than that. So Arrow showing some strength here, recovering from this crazy candle that isn't even real, back to 83, but a far cry out to here. Once everything starts working again and I turn this off, I'm going to buy more Arrow. Virtuals, I love virtuals. I've had this for a while. I've enjoyed the ecosystem. They've made some major changes with the Unicorn update. If you're following virtuals at all, mixed reviews thus far, but it is something of interest for sure. So I'm taking a look at that. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for virtuals. If you're not familiar with this, it's an AI agent launchpad. You can essentially launch your own AI agent, and they've done really well. I mean, this market cap was well over $1 billion not long ago. It's at 449 million. So a project worth looking at. I am definitely a buyer here. I mean, there's nothing I'm not going to be a buyer of. If we go to Wire, let's go to some smaller ones in case you guys aren't familiar with these. These are a lot of virtual agents that I'm interested in. Wire has like a major, they have major backings from what I understand. Now, this is all, of course, speculation. From what's been reported, they have major backers. And they're in, according to them, the due diligence process to purchase a bank. So that's how much money the people behind them have. Right, it's quite a bit. So if we're looking at Wire going all the way down to 002, now this is an extremely small market cap, right? 3.8 million. So this is about as risky as it gets. It's done quite well over time from when we first called it out in our group anyway, in our mastermind group. We're talking about calling this out. I mean, we're still up significantly. We got in before this massive pump, maybe 500,000. So it did a good 20x. We've had a number of those, fortunately. And then it's kind of bounced around. I thought we were getting some real strength here. We were kind of hovering here. I guess it literally came back to this like support resistance line. So this is one I'm actually not down that much on today because if you think about it, it bounced from there to there. I mean, it's still 25%. But as of right now, that doesn't really seem like much of an issue. Now let's go over to Ethy. Ethy's an interesting one for sure. This one somehow, some way, has somehow only down 2.78%. So on a day like today, being down 2.78% is a godsend. You're not going to get anything much better than that. That is for sure. So this is one I really do think could be a candidate to purchase here. But if we're just looking at the macro, if we go to TradingView and take a look at what happened to Bitcoin, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a candle like that. I'm sorry, everything's slow because I don't usually stream, number one. And number two, everything's just slow because everyone's using every tool on planet Earth. There's no tool that's like not being used right now in the crypto space. There's an analytics tool, people are using it. If there's anything else, people are using it. The wallets don't even seem to be working for the most part. Let's try to get a real chart if this will actually load. And you can see the craziest candle, imaginable. That's on a 4-hour too. We got to look on a shorter time horizon so you can see how far down this really went. There's 109. I wonder if it went lower if we look a little bit more fine because this happened so quick. Yeah, 109, under 109. And it was sitting up this morning at 122. Yeah, so that's quite a drop. Now it bounced to all the way quickly to 115. It's back to 113. I don't know if the bleeding's over here. Again, there's not a lot of volume typically on a Friday night. And that's why it's very frustrating that the news announcements always seem to come after hours, after the regular markets close. Now, if you're a traditional investor and you have money in both crypto and traditional markets and you get terrible news that panics you, the only thing you can do is sell your crypto. So that's why crypto always seems to take it on the face, because if you think about what's happening, people are absolutely manipulating the price, and it's easier to do when the traditional markets are closed. So Bitcoin really getting crushed here. Everything across the board's getting crushed. Now, what I'm planning to do, I'll give you kind of my plan. Again, not financial advice. I'm going to take some small leverage positions wherever I can. When all the wallets start working again, if the prices are still suppressed as they are, my plan is to try to take some leverage positions along the board, across the board, I should say. So that's really what I'm trying to do. We could scroll Twitter. We're looking at some people, Ash Crypto. This guy has been accurate from time to time. Some of his posts I like, some I don't, but that's everybody in the world. Still bullish, right? People are more bullish than ever. I mean, sometimes that's hopium and people just think that that's going to be helpful in some way, shape, or form. But if you're look at these candles. I mean, Atom on Binance, somebody made 284,000% in minutes because somehow they caught this candle. Now, that's partly luck because I don't know how they chose the person that had a buy order in there. Here's somebody else saying it's officially over. This is the massive signs the bear market has begun. 3 bull markets, going to be my 3rd bear market. 8 figures later. Trust me, the top is in. Hopium won't get you far. I don't know if I fully agree with this. I think this was a black swan event. And now here comes Dr. Profit, who says that he was right. Now, this guy, I have my own opinions on him. It's like a broken clock, right? He's right twice a day type of thing. He's been wrong so many times. But again, if you wait long enough, he's right. Like he was calling for this price point when Bitcoin was like here. And when that happened, it went straight up. And if you were doing any leverage plays like he was recommending, you would have been absolutely crushed and liquidated. However, at this point, he is right. And it has come down significantly from the peak. I think what's happening here is, this is telltale insider trading. Again, that's not really related or accurate in this particular instance because the reality is there's no rules for that. But this is the type of thing we should be looking for to get an understanding of where the big money is moving. Somebody opened up a $750 million short. $750 million short. How did this person know? It's almost like they were sitting there at the White House, knowing that Trump was going to make this announcement. Because that was happening, they were able to do so. They were able to take this position with utter confidence because, oh, look, this guy's down. Liquidation's coming. We all know what happens to over-leveraged whales. Well, unfortunately, this guy was right. This guy, I think, knew that an announcement was going to be made, and he was willing to take a little bit of downturn during that period of time. So you're looking at something like this, and it's just such a sign that people on the inside, the big money, can manipulate everybody. They do it time and time again. It's a never-ending experience in crypto. Now, will everything recover? In my opinion, it will. Just my opinion. It's already recovering from these unbelievable lows. Whoever got this screenshot, I didn't even believe it when I saw this screenshot. I was like, none of this happened. Like, this did not happen. But as you look at it, it very well did happen on a very small candle before a lot of this just ticked right back up. And I think part of it is the exchanges were down. So there was a challenge with people being able to buy, people being able to sell. Big money was just absolutely crushing it from every angle. And they do say this is the biggest crash since COVID 2020. The other one that this reminds me of is April 9th. If anybody remembers April 9th, when the tariffs were first announced, it was mayhem. It was unimaginable chaos in all markets. And crypto took it first because, again, it gets announced after hours. So the only thing people can sell is crypto. At that point, like I mentioned before, I was buying with everything I had. I was trying to take out any loan I possibly could to buy more. And I'm very curious if Ash Crypto's prediction plays out. Because this is just either this guy's got a crystal ball or he's like the new Miss Cleo or something like that. Because this played out exactly from this perspective. Like the down part happened. Dump near 3,800 or lower. All this happened. And then all the bulls, it changes bullish. And it's going to happen in mid-October. I sure hope that Ash Crypto is right. Because I would love to see this. October is historically the most bullish month. The year after the halving, October is the most bullish month. So this is when the rubber meets the road, and I'm to the point where I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, right? This is me personally. I'm not telling you what to do. This is not financial advice. I'm going to buy here. I'm not going to buy with everything I have just in case it does go lower. But this is such an interesting chart that was posted that shows what happened on the last cycle. Take a look at this. March 12th, 2020, and I know we're not at the same date, but this was a 53% correction in a very quick candle before we had a massive, massive alt season. This was the pre-alt season. And then if you look here, right here, October 10th, 2025, we have this massive candle. Now listen, it's not going to play out the exact same way. Everybody understands that. The question is, are we going to get the Uptober that we thought? And it's yet to be seen. If we get more negative news in the media, this could be very well delayed. I'm of the belief that the crypto 4-year cycle might not be dead, but it is surely delayed because the normal time table that we all look for in crypto, I think was disrupted because of a couple reasons. Number one, you had a change in power in the political landscape. Definitely a more bullish one from the crypto side of things, but it definitely ruffled some feathers because there was a lot of uncertainty, specifically in markets such as these, right? Or we're looking at macroeconomic events and getting an understanding that they have a lot to do with the crypto prices. Crypto, like it or not, is still considered a risk asset, and risk assets perform well during certain economic conditions and poorly during others. So, uncertainty is not typically a good time for risk on assets like crypto. And when the tariffs hit and all this uncertainty, the markets tanked. We had a massive recovery, a beautiful recovery. No pun intended. And that's one of Trump's terms. It's beautiful, beautiful recovery. We had a great one. And now what's happening is another massive pullback. Of course, the exchanges are reporting outages. Again, I'm unable to do many things that I normally do because everything seems down or at least so laggy that it's like barely useful. So I'm going to keep streaming here as much as I possibly can and give you guys the information as it comes through. But for now, my plan is to dollar cost average in here. I would love to get this leverage position in, but it doesn't seem like there's anything I can do to do so. I mean, Arrow is making a massive comeback very rapidly. I wanted to get in this under 80 cents. Obviously, I would have loved to get in under 30 cents, but I don't even know how that was physically possible. So hopefully this has been helpful. And if you're watching this right now, I'm hoping to be able to shed some light on what I think is happening. Market manipulation, yes. Bad news, of course, absolutely. From a macro perspective, this is bad news with us in China, right? It's bad news, but it's not like it's news we haven't had before. Now, I think tensions are running a little bit higher because stuff like this, right? 100% tariff on all Chinese goods, which is, let's think about it, every single thing that we buy, right, is basically from China. And not necessarily all food, but everything else is basically from China. So that's not good. And China doesn't like that. And China versus the US is a big deal. It's superpower versus superpower. And saying things like this is not going to be good for any type of macroeconomics. That's a fact. So people are saying this is like, a power move. They're the ones that need us more than we need them because they sell stuff to us, which is partly true for sure. But the reality is we're addicted. Americans are addicted, myself included, to these cheap goods and services. Now, you may say nothing's cheap anymore because everything's gone up in price. That is true. So nothing's really cheap anymore, but it would be much more expensive if it were made here. I'm not getting political one way or another and saying that's the right thing. That's just the reality of where we're at. So hopefully we can get some positive news because I don't know if we can get a full reversal on positive news. I don't think that's possible. However, we may be able to get a chunk of the way back if we get positive news. Now, China's not like just going to cave and bend the knee to the US because we say so by November 1st. And that's only 21 days away. I think, again, if this was like a 90-day time horizon, we might have had a little bit more opportunity. People would figure, they'll work it out. But when you put on a 3-week timeline, it doesn't give a lot of room for negotiation, right? You're not going to have time to negotiate any type of deals because you're just basically stuck in 3 weeks. So let's see what happens over that timeline. I'll try to find some more news for you. I'm just looking at it on the other screen because obviously I don't want to put on anything on stream that wouldn't be allowed. It's going to get me kicked off here. Carl Moon saying, and I'm not saying this guy's good or bad, saying the shakeout's over. The legendary pump begins. We'll see. Give it 2 to 3 days. We'll be back down again. I hate it. I can almost guarantee it. Longs will build over the next couple days, and they will create yet another drop. Probably true. I hate to say that's true, but it likely will be because you're going to have a dead cat bounce one way or another. A dead cat bounce is essentially when things are like absolutely crushed and you're going to get a bounce. Absolutely. Like it's going to happen because people are going to see a buying opportunity. However, will that sustain? If it doesn't sustain, it was just a dead cat bounce. I don't know why it's called that. Someone could maybe tell me in the chat. So that's not going to happen. Like I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I'm saying that it's not guaranteed. It's a dead cat bounce. It's not guaranteed it's a real recovery. We just don't know. We're not going to know one way or another. So here's another post. Very frustrating, I'm sure, for this individual. I lost all my money in Sui. 15 million lost. This industry's a scam. Yeah, that's really bad. Now, it would be hard to imagine losing 15 million here unless you were on a leveraged position, right? If you're on a leveraged position, this is how you get absolutely wrecked. And I was just starting to use a little bit more very light leverage, Like I'm talking super light, not degenerate 20x, 50x, 100x leverage. I was using very small leverage, but even that was too much, right? Even that little bit of leverage, like a 2x or 2.5x, I literally got liquidated on a 2.5x leverage play. That's ridiculous. That means it went down like 40% in seconds. And of course, now it's back way over that, but the damage is already done. They already liquidated me, along with tons of other people. Tons of other people. So this is one of those super frustrating experiences that don't even seem real to most people. This was legitimately the top liquidation event in crypto history. Look at this. The most liquidations of all times, which means if you're not familiar with what that means, people take these leverage positions. It's almost like trading with borrowed money. And if your price goes under a certain level, right, they're going to keep your full collateral. You lost it all. It's over. And depending on what leverage you put on, depends how easy it is to lose your money. So if you put 10x leverage, that means for every 1% it goes up, you make 10%. But every 1% it goes down, you lose 10%. So you can imagine when people are using 20x, 30x, 40x leverage, the price barely has to move for you to lose your money. And when you're looking at something like this, when you're looking at flash crashes where things were down 50, 60% on majors in minutes, nobody was safe, right? If you were doing like 1.5x leverage, you were getting taken out. That's what's so ridiculous about this specific crash, is it just feels so manufactured. The exchanges and the people that provide the leverage trading were able to clear out $9 billion. And it says within 24 hours. That was probably within 24 minutes, right? That was like multiple billions of dollars, probably $500 million a minute or something crazy like that at a certain period of time. The crash was so violent and so quick that it just, it doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem man-made. So I hope this was helpful. At the end of the day, I don't think the fundamentals have changed by any means. I'm looking to DCA into some projects that I think are good. I think we will see, at the bare minimum, some type of dead cat bounce on all this. Now, what that means is yet to be determined, but I do think it's coming. So I hope anybody who was here was able. This is my first live stream. I don't even know how it works. I don't even know if people are watching. If you are, hopefully you got some value from it, and I'll try to figure out how this actually works. But I figured this was a good time to do it if I was ever going to do it, because I wanted to give some insight on what's happening. So thanks, everybody, and I will see you.